Perfectly coiffed hair, looks neat and presentable all the time. He is the Mitt blockchain CEO.
And the question is if they're looking to back out after this. Our next guest was one of the first and youngest names in the crypto space. Let's bring in Mitt Group CEO, Grant Mitterlehner.
Tea-time like I got a cup of this shit. Tea-time like golf at 5:45. I love the...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 173. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down game theory and the psychology behind why people do what they do. If you just look at people from the surface and you react to the way they talk to you, the way they act, how interested they are, it can be quite confusing because they rarely have consistent patterns, or maybe they do for a short period of time, and then suddenly it's as if you're talking to a completely different person. Now, not everyone is bipolar or crazy. They're just human. They are having an animal reaction to the situation. Now, it's seldom anybody kind of puts this into words, and I wouldn't say it's controversial. It's just not something people like to talk about. It feels good to look at a situation like a fairy tale, or that it's just happened and it felt effortless. But maybe there was more to that story. Maybe there was a deeper reason, whether consciously or subconsciously, why someone was doing what they were doing. What's interesting about game theory is essentially what it means is that if there is a person that is changing their behavior based on what one person or a group is doing, then they are essentially mathematically in a game. They are responding to another person's moves, therefore affecting their behavior. Now, what is truly driving any decision shaped by a person and also an animal, which humans are animals? Incentives. Incentives in almost every situation will tell you what a person will do. And if you actually think back on previous interactions with people that you've worked with, maybe dated, maybe you're friends with, maybe just associates or people you came across, in 99% of the decisions that they have made, and probably you as well, was shaped by the incentives that were at play in that given situation. What essentially happens in any moment is an individual is weighing the options. They are looking at the opportunity and they are looking at the potential costs. Okay, now, there are times when someone has a single game, which is typically zero sum, which means you're only going to have that interaction with that person one time. But there's others where you might have 50, 20, 100, or even 10,000 interactions, which is going to adjust the way a person plays the game. That's even me saying this. It feels kind of uncomfortable to even tell you this or even talk about this because it makes you feel a little bit weird about life. I don't know about you. It does for me. Because it's like, wait, is everyone transactional? Is everyone just trying to get the best out of life? In some form, in an animal way, they are. But it doesn't mean that people aren't genuine or that they don't care about you. They're just reacting to what is suitable for them. So let me give you a couple examples. Let's say that you have let's say grocery store. And you have 5 cashiers, and let's not focus on the other employees. Let's just focus on these 5 cashiers. And you're going to promote one of them in, let's say, after 3 to 6 months to the head cashier that's going to manage the other ones, and they're going to get a pay raise. You announce to everyone that the top performer is going to get promoted. But there's one person that seems to be doing better. But here's the caveat. This person is regularly late, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes. And they have someone cover for them. They stole from your grocery store twice and you let it slide. And they were a little toxic and they talked bad about other people. If you promote that individual, which hopefully you wouldn't, but let's just say you did, what did you teach the other players about the game? That you can move up and get what you want within this game of becoming the head cashier at a grocery store, by lying, cheating, stealing, and being late. So therefore, even if the other people have good morals, they will start to cheat and steal and be late because the incentive structure is set up to reward that kind of behavior, right? Here's another example. Let's say that you have a friend, or let's just say a employee, and the first couple of weeks they're working with you, they are like, Grant, I'm the most loyal person ever. I want to retire here. This is just, I feel so lucky to work with you. They're telling you these things, right? But 2 weeks down the line, a competitor reaches out because they see that they updated their LinkedIn, that they work for you. And you're this amazing leader. You always hire great people. And they message them and they say, hey, I'll pay you 10 grand more per year. Now this person has a decision. They just said that they were loyal, that they want to retire there, that this is the best, decision that they've ever made. Now they have a decision to make. Now, just because they can make an extra 10 grand, if it is a one-time game, meaning like, hey, can you paint my wall? And person A says, I'll pay you 1,000. Person B says, I'll pay you 1,500. The person goes, oh, I'll take the 1,500 one. But in this scenario, it could change things, because what if working for you would mean that in 6 months, after they've gone through the necessary training, they're going to be able to make $100,000 more plus stock options, and you might become a public company, which can make them a multimillionaire. Even though that other person is willing to pay them $10,000, they're willing to potentially be loyal to you, not because they're this amazing loyal person. I hope they are, but it's more so that the incentives say that it's worth taking less for a short period of time, because the trade-off in 6 months or 2 years and whatever could be them becoming a very wealthy person. So this is where game theory changes things, because if you're playing one game versus 1,000, it's going to change person's behavior a lot. So the best thing to kind of understand about game theory and incentives and why people do what they do is, if you want the world to treat you amazing, you have to make sure the incentives of dealing with you, working for you, being friends with you, being around you in any capacity aligns with their incentives. I'm going to give you a simple example. Let's say that you are having a birthday dinner and you have two options of the way that you want to handle this birthday dinner. I'm going to add a couple differences between the two, and I want you to think about how you would handle this if you were going to come to someone's birthday dinner. Okay, birthday dinner number one is next Wednesday, and it's at 7:30. But each person has to pay $150, and you're going to have the full meal, but you have to Venmo it in the next couple of days before so someone can pay the tab at once. But then Wednesday comes around and you're a little worn out. You had a long day at work, your boss snapped at you, you're not in a great mood, and you're worn out. And you just realize that you forgot to send the person $130 or whatever it was. So how inclined and incentivized are you to go to this birthday dinner? Okay, if it's a person that you barely know, or y'all just became friends, you might end up telling them that you're sick, or that you're feeling bad, or that you're under the weather. But if it's your best friend ever, and there's a huge risk of you losing the relationship of the past 10 years, even though you don't feel good, and even though you don't want to send $130, you may bite the bullet to do it. Now let's look at birthday dinner number two, regardless of if you're their best friend or you just met them 2 weeks ago. Let's say for this one, it's at the nicest restaurant in the city that you live in. It's a 4-course meal. It's prepaid by the person that's hosting the birthday dinner. There's 4 or 5 people in that group that you've been meaning to meet that are top of the line, amazing, successful people. Like, they're beast at what they do. And you've been wanting to network with them. They have a DJ or some artist performing that is really well known. And being in this group could literally alter your life. And it's a great perception. There's so much social proof, and everyone there is amazing. And it's free. You just got to show up. Even if you're tired, even if you just had a breakup, or even if something bad just happened, how much more incentivized or inclined are you going to be for birthday dinner number two? Much more, right? Here's the thing, is a lot of times we put people into boxes, or we assess someone's decision that they made based on what we think they should do, based on what would be moral, what you deserve, what makes sense, or what our selfish desires are. And I'm right there with you. I was telling someone earlier, I was talking about this with a business owner I work with, and I was like, was always tough for me because I'm from Texas. Like Texas, it's this thing where you always treat people with respect. You always do the right thing. You're a man of your word. So when other people don't do this, it's disheartening. It's kind of sad. But if you can look at it with this logic, it simplifies people's behavior. It doesn't mean they can't be a good person, but you start understanding why they're doing what they're doing. So if you want your company to be successful, then you need to set up incentives, processes, and the way that you hire people to where people would do what would make the company successful, even if they didn't like you. Even if they never wanted to talk to you, would they still do what they're supposed to do? Would they still make the calls? What would incentivize them to work hard? Think about it. If you have person A that makes 75 grand a year and person B makes 75 grand a year, but every time they hit a certain metric, which makes the company more money, which makes the business more successful, they get bonused. And if they work hard, they could go from 75 to 180 grand. Are they going to work harder? Of course. If they have a day where they're worn out or they're not feeling so hot, they're probably going to still put in the work. Why? Because the incentive structure says so. So oftentimes we think about, why would they not be motivated? But we own the business. We have all the equity in the company, so it's our haircut. If the company fails, we fail. If the company succeeds, we become really wealthy. But are your employees in the same bucket? Do they feel the pain when you don't do as good? Or if the company has a bad month and it doesn't affect them, game theory suggests that they're not going to care. But if the company has a bad month and they make less money, they're going to definitely care and want to change that. So in every situation, you have to assess the incentive structure that is in place. You can apply this to your pet dog, your pet cat. You can apply this to your interpersonal relationships. You have to think about, what are you allowing in your life? And this goes down to standards. We talk about this so much on the podcast, that if people are disrespectful and they're late and they don't value you, and you continue to give effort and energy to that person, what do the incentives say? That they can keep dishing you to the side, not caring about you, not taking you seriously, and they're going to get rewarded for it. So we have to make sure that we're structuring our life in a way where it makes sense for someone to be loyal to you. It's like marrying someone and you're this motivated, good looking, hardworking, fit person, and you get married and you go, I don't care anymore, I'm married, and you don't take care of yourself. You get fat, you stop trying to be successful, you stop trying to date them, you stop complimenting them, you stop trying your hardest. Like, of course, they're naturally not going to be as attracted to you. Not because they're a horrible person, but because game theory. It's because you're not doing the same things that got them attracted to you in the first place. So the message is not to become this manipulative person, but the message is to understand that we're all animals and we're all seeking the best in the world. And you can do this while being a moral and high integrity person. But the reason why this knowledge is so important, why it's important to understand human psychology and power laws and human nature, is because if you are a good person with high moral code, it is your responsibility to be able to deal with other structures of power and know how to maneuver in this world. Because if we enter the game and we just say it's BS that it's the way it is, I don't like that people are like this, that's fine, but you still got to play the game. Let's say there's two ways to look at this. Person A looks at the game and goes, the game is rigged, and they complain about it, they pout, and they fail the game. Person B looks at it and says it's rigged, but learns how to adapt and play the game, and they win. And when they win and they're in power, that's when they can actually make the necessary changes. So if you are an extremely intelligent, capable, and smart person, I would argue you have a duty to be incredibly intelligent and to understand how our system works, why people do what they do. Because I get asked all the time, what book should I read? What things should you study for this? And the longer I'm in business, the longer I'm in life, in any capacity, there's almost nothing that will give you a better return than studying why people do what they do. Their body language, their energy, their tone, sociology, why people do certain things. Because when you understand this, it takes people to build things. It takes people to solve problems and accomplish things. Heck, if you just build a family, you need to understand how humans work in that sense. It's hard to raise kids. It's hard to raise a dog. It's hard to have one relationship, not to mention 100 or 1,000, or influence hundreds of thousands or millions of people to believe in a cause that is for something that's positive, that's going to move the world forward. We can't do those things unless we understand why people do what they do. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share it with a friend. Hope you guys have an incredible week. We'll see you guys again for episode 174. Thanks, guys. Cheers.